So from your bio, we've learned that you've held various positions and various companies. We also know that you didn't start off in the mining industry. So we want to know what has been your best role and what has been your least favorite role, and how did you handle the challenges that came with both of these roles?
Um, when you say what has been your best role, I will not say I've had a best role. Like I said, I started as a personal assistant. So, and I'll not say it's been the best role. However, I will not say there's a best role and there's the least impressive role I've done. Because at the end of the day, all the roles I've gone through brought me to where I am right now. It's a process. It's a gradual process. I didn't just drop in this role. It's a learning curve all through, from being a PA to being an administrator to being a consultant in the compensation field, in being, so it's been an entire learning process for me. So I'm not going to say, oh, there was a particular one that this is the best role. And you also get to learn that a good percentage of this role I'm in right now, I could say to a certain level, over 70-80% of this role, it's male dominated. So the challenge basically is being female in this role. And interestingly enough, while the challenge is being female in this role, the advantage is also being female. It's always, yes. So I'm not going to say, oh, there's been the best position I've ever done. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mahdurii, for that. So Mahdurii, you actually highlighted, you kind of sneak peeked into our next question, challenges and opportunities. So, I mean, since you're working with people and engaging with communities, it means that your career is so dynamic because there's never a point in time where you can say that you've mastered dealing with people, because people are different. So, I mean, what can you say about, as being challenging with respect to that aspect of dealing with dynamic communities and people?
One thing, when you're in this role, one thing you need is emotional intelligence. If you do not have emotional intelligence, it's going to be pretty difficult to um, create a pathway for yourself in this industry. You must be ready for challenges. You must be able to think on your feet. You can actually go into a meeting or a negotiation situation with a mindset that this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. But by the time you get there, you have to be able to read people's body language. You have to understand the atmosphere before you start talking. Now, like I said, being female has always been an advantage. It's in this industry, especially in a patriarchal society that we are in. It's kind of like it's challenging to be female in the industry, but at the same time, there's an advantage because you are in an environment where the opposite sex want to talk first. They want to communicate first. They see you as someone that is younger. So they're like, in fact, I've been in situation where they're like, oh, that small girl when I started my career. So they just refer to you as that. So in the process of them um, undermining you, you are at an advantage already, because what you're doing is, it's very important when you're in this position to be able to listen and decipher what is being communicated at every given point. So you're listening to people because they want to give out all they want to talk first. So you don't have to be the one to talk. So that is an advantage already. So you're already getting information that you probably did not have beforehand. You're also reading body language, very important. Understanding culture, extremely important. In the northern area of the country, when you're going to be talking to people as female, most times you really cannot talk. So usually you have a need to have a male counterpart that is probably going to communicate to them, and then they feel respected. Do you understand? Sometimes here you also have to use that emotional intelligence to decipher if it's an audience that you as a female don't have to talk. So you go with maybe like it's a set of team members that you communicate, this is what you want already, this is how you want done. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, it's challenging. Yeah, that's the truth. But the good thing is, compared to 5, 7, 9 years ago when I started this role, I can tell you that there's been improvements in understanding that because someone is female doesn't mean the job will not be done at the end of the day. So there's a certain level of understanding compared to before when I started the role, they tell you, oh, she's female. They don't want to hear what you want to say. But now, because of track records, you're able to communicate certain things. So the challenge, like I said, is being female, and then the advantage also, interestingly enough, is being female.
Yeah, I can totally relate coming from a female to female. And also I enjoy that you are very strategic about how you approach issues, like using your male counterparts to convey messages. So I really enjoy that part. And also I would like to know if with the changing times, we are getting more and more technologically advanced. Does that factor into stakeholder and community development? And if so, how has technology influenced your job over the years?
I'll say technology has actually helped to a certain level. It's 50-50. Now, it helps with support when it comes to communication. For instance, I'll give you an example. When I started working with the organization, we're in an environment where it's very remote, completely remote. So nobody has bank accounts. If you go to a particular gathering, out of the gathering of maybe 700, you probably see maybe only 5 or 10 people with a bank account. Now, everybody has a bank account. And that's because of the development that's coming to the community. That's one. Now, two, before, when you need to communicate, you probably need to do, you probably use a text message, or you have to go to the community, then they ring the gong. I'm not sure if you're in Africa, you know what the gong is, where they ring in the villages and the communities. But now most days we don't have to do that again. So each of the communities that we communicate to, most of them have platforms where they send out information. Technology is there. Same thing, that's downstream. Now upstream also, we have in the global markets where we're communicating what our activities are, what we're doing in the community to the global markets. Now that's one. In the other aspects, I mentioned that I'm completing my dissertation right now and I'm doing my MBA. Before, you probably have to go to class, and I'll probably be working remotely and going there. But I have the advantage of doing the program 70% online, then 30%. So that's technology helping with also my MBA. Same thing with a couple of other courses I've done, programs I've done. You don't have to be in there to advance your skills and your knowledge sets. You can actually do it remotely. That's some of the things we're also trying to incorporate into our community systems. When we started our scholarship scheme, with telling them, come, you sit down for exams, and then we have to sift through the entire papers of like 600, 400 people doing the examinations. Now, the first thing we do is we have a portal where they go. As long as you're a community member, once you click the community you're from, there's a screening already going on there. After the screening, then the shortlisted people that have been compiled by the algorithm now come for the exams. It's reduced, like I said, there's a lot of technology that has gone in there. So yeah, technology has been very, very helpful with our progress.
Thank you, Mahdurii. Just out of personal interest, it's not on my script, but
Sure.
Mahdurii, mass communications, stakeholder engagement. Does this also mean that Mahdurii is big on TikTok? Oh.
No, I'm not
Help
on
me
TikTok.
connect the dots. Okay.
No, I'm not on TikTok.
All right, no, that's fine. So now to the next section. currently you're a community development and stakeholder manager at Segilola Resources operating. And, we just taking a bit of an introspection into some of your projects, and, would like to know what exciting, updates you have on the, Segilola livelihood restoration program so far.
The organization I work with, we're very, very sensitive to our project affected persons, people impacted by the project. We're extremely sensitive. Now, some of the things we've gotten on ground are our scholarship scheme, which I've mentioned. We also have our women initiative program targeted at women in the community for SME. We start this SME, provide them with tools and equipment to start their business or help them scale up on their businesses. And however, we looked at it and saw that we still need to impact more because, like I said, we're very sensitive to our impacted persons. So one of the things that we're considering when we looked at the livelihood restoration plan is to economically empower our PAPs and also provide continuous sustainability for them, so that they are not dependent on paid employment. So you don't want everybody dependent on paid employment while you have a lot of people there. So that's what we're looking at, rather than everybody coming. We're looking at continuous sustainability. Now, our LRP program has the vegetable farm, that's a market garden, which we've introduced certain species of crops to the farmers. And also our major project in the LRP project at the moment is our fish farms. Our fish farm is capturing startup with 100 project affected persons. And it's in the form of a cooperative with the company having a little bit of managerial role in it. After 2 years, once they've stabilized and they've mastered the art of the crafts, we're going to be handing it completely over to the community. So it's with our host communities, and the processes from the fish fingerlings, they're going to be going through that. And then after doing that, so another set of people come in, they're going to be the processors. So it's it's like a mini fish village that we have going on right now. We're going to be scaling up also in the next 1-2 years on other skill acquisition that can be done. We've got we have our youth empowerment program where we're training youth in different skills of baking, shoe making. We have this local cloth that we call adire. It's a tie-dye, but like a batik. So we'll have that also training. So we do that also yearly. So like those are some of the things that we are very, like I said, we're very particular about development in our community. Thank you very much.
That is quite impressive. And I've seen that, especially where we are from, or I am from, South Africa, there are not a lot of these projects and these sustainable development-focused initiatives. But I want to know, you're working on a lot of things. What has been a highlight of this project, or your proudest moment during this project?
Okay, I'm sure you're expecting me to say, oh, this particular project, I'm very, very happy about it. But honestly, with the kind of job that we do, every project is a win for us. Every project is like every milestone is a win for us. Every milestone is a proud moment for us, because I am not kidding you. It's a very, very interesting, let me not say hard. It's a very interesting position or role to be in. So basically what I'll say my proud moment is the team that I work with. I've got an amazing team that we can depend on and to deliver. And when they see the community development and stakeholder manager, I'm sure, unfortunately, I tell them, oh, I get most of the glory. But when I hear it, I go and give it to them and say, oh, this is what this commendation we've gotten and everything. But I've got an amazing team that I work with. And honestly, that's the highlight of usually of my job for me, not a milestone. Like I said, every milestone is a win for us. But the team actually makes you want to do more.
Very, very interesting outlook on your team. I'm sure wherever they are, they'll be happy to hear you. Do we have any of your team members in this conversation today?
No, I do not.
Okay, now then they will know about it because we do post these videos after on YouTube, LinkedIn, and all our social media platforms. So upon leaving or retiring, from Segilola Resources operating, I know what legacy, would you like to leave behind within the organization?
I would honestly like to be seen as someone who, what's the word? Push the boundaries and also charted a course of for inclusion to my gender, because like I said, this is it's very limited. We have very few in this field. That's also, and someone that you can look back and say that's someone of integrity that ensured that development came into this community and correctly and rightly without cutting corners.
Thank you. Thank you for that,
very impressive. Yes. That's very impressive, and we are hoping that you achieve that and you leave that legacy, and we are sure you will. So my question is, listening to you talking about more females coming into the industry and more people making a difference, what would you recommend that people who want to get into community and stakeholder management do to get into that career path?
First thing, you have to be passionate about people. If you're not passionate about people, you will have burnout quickly, because there are certain situations that you just be like, okay, you're almost thinking of dropping the baton. I'm not kidding you. There are certain situations where you find yourself in that you're almost feeling like dropping the baton. But when you remember that you're passionate about people, so it doesn't really matter if they're accepting the truth you are passing on to them, because in one way or the other, you want to ensure that that's through that information that you want to pass across to them, they receive it and they receive it well. So I would advise anybody that's coming into this field. Like I said, I studied French, and the truth is, if I tell people I am a shy person, most people don't believe it, because you probably not believe it, but I am actually a shy person. So you have to be conscious. You have to be passionate about it. One, two, you have to be intentional about wanting to impact positively in your environment. If you're going in there for just, the job pays well, you have burnouts, and your burnout will be very quick. But once you're passionate about something, you're passionate about developing your environment or wherever you are, you're passionate about people advancing in life, not just yourself. Your basically passion, that's number one. Now, if you're looking to go into this field also, it's very important that wherever you're planning to go into, you must understand that communication is key. If you do not know how to communicate there, so like the role I'm in at the moment, in the area we're in the Southwest, you must know how to speak the language. You must know how to speak the language and the local dialect and be able to communicate. 3, you must be able to understand your audience. Anybody, that's the truth. Anybody can do this job, but you must have the emotional intelligence to implement it. Part of my team, we have people that haven't gone to school, that they just finished secondary school. But when they start communicating and when they start ensuring things are done, you'll be thinking that they've probably done some training. That's there. Now, we also have people that are engineers. I've got an engineer that is a CLO, and he decided he wants to be a CLO. That CLO is a community liaison officer. So you have an engineer that is a CLO. We've got a geologist that is a CLO also, and because they are passionate about those roles. So you've got to be passionate about it. So someone is saying, oh, can an engineer do that? Yes, an engineer can do that. I studied French. So it's not about your should I say qualifications, but it's about your passion at the end of the day and what you really want to attain in life. Thirdly, you must understand the culture of where you're going to. So you must pick a niche. You can't say, I just want to be this. What area? There's the oil and gas, there's the solid minerals, there's the quarry area also. So what area do you want to go into? You must know your targeted area and understand the culture. Not only that, you must be an empathic person. If you're not an empath, you are not going to be able to advance too far. That's the truth. You must be an empath and be able to communicate that to the people that you understand the situation on ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mahdurii, for that very, very amazing answer, brilliant answer. So just going back a little bit to your undergrad studies in French, I'm just curious to know, like, what actually, sparked, the initial interest in studying, French, and how is that passion or interest evolved over the years?
I think I mentioned that in secondary school, I've been in a lot of leadership roles. Class captain, I think all the way through class, I was always a class captain. And I was also the president of the French club. And I was also the head girl of the school. And honestly, by the time I was rounding up, I really did not know what I wanted to study. That's the truth. So I'm not going to say, oh, this is what I wanted to study, and I went to school and studied it. But because I had a passion for wanting to deal with people, I decided to do something that had to do with a lot of communication, because the intention was to be a translator. That was what I wanted to be at some point. That, okay, I'll study French because I wanted to be a translator. And by the time I got into the university, I went for this JCI had this one of this leadership coaching training that they did in school when I was in university. I think either my fourth year, and they were talking about reaching out, developing people, improving people, and I found out that, oh, okay, I like something like this. So by the time I was rounding up from school, and I was posted to Kano for my National Youth Service, which we have to do in Nigeria for 1 year. One of the things I started doing, I took it upon myself, was to look for orphanages that did not have guidance counseling, did not have mentors, and then took them through teaching classes and just basic coaching and helping with career path guidance, because that's one of the things I found out we lacked in our system. Good for me, luckily enough for me, I kind of identified that. So in the process of, after I finished my NYC, came back to Lagos, I still got a couple of orphanages to do that. And so while doing my main job on the side, by my main job, I was also doing those by the side. And by the time an opportunity came where I had a friend's husband that was doing some projects, and he said, oh, we're going to be doing some pipelines or some power works in certain areas. We need someone that can. So I just tagged along as, part of the team. And then so after that, next project, he called me, and so by the time my friend mentioned that, I think you've got the skill for this, you've done something to this extent when they were doing the power line, then I think you'll be very good for it. And I'm like, I don't want to work for anybody. That's the truth. I said I did not want to work for anybody. I wanted to just continue doing consultation and freelance. And she insisted that, go ahead, check it out, and if it's something you think you fit into. And so that's how I found myself here. So basically, career path, I'm not going to tell you that, oh, I decided that this is what I'm going to do. No, I didn't do that. So it basically found me. Yeah.
I think it's something called fate. But my next question to that is that you are now a community manager. Was there a transition from that French and communications and working in consulting? Was there a gap that you needed to fill, maybe in terms of learning new things inside that environment? And how were you able to bridge that gap?
Yes. So one of the things, if you notice, I always divert to passion, is because I knew that you need to do certain things to achieve certain things. One of the things I went for, like I said, like you mentioned, is the mass communication. Now, in mass communication, it's not just everybody just sees it, they see it as mass communication. You're studying media law and ethics there. You're studying public communication there. You're studying people management there. So it's encompassive of what I wanted to put out there already also. And by the time I saw that, okay, I've done this and I'm in this role, I think I need more knowledge when it comes to certain things. I decided to be a chartered arbitrator of the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Arbitrators. I joined, and it's really helped also in advancing. So, or some of the other things I've gone for is conflict and negotiation training. And like you mentioned, I'm also doing my MBA in international relations and diplomacy, which I should be rounding up my dissertation. So things like that makes you see that there is a chasm that needs to be filled. So, and one way or the other, you start picking it up. I go for leadership courses and training also. I just completed one recently, amazing course from Chartered Institute of Personnel in Nigeria. And over time, you need to be able to identify where you have a lack and look for what to do about it. You can't remain, because like you said, the role changes. Every time something new comes up, you probably think, oh, I've used this strategy before. This strategy to work again. You go in there and you come out baffled that that strategy did not work. So you need to step up and find out what did you do differently, or what are you going to do differently. So you should always have when people say you should have something at the back pocket. In fact, I don't say you should have at your back pocket. You should have the two back pockets even in your front pocket, so that if this one doesn't work, you try the other one. It's very, very important that you don't have just one backup strategy. You should have 1, 2, 3 backup strategies for the kind of role, because our role doesn't come with templates. So it doesn't come with a template on this is how you should do it. Apart from you see trailblazers that, okay, this is how they've done it. I've got an upline that has also helped with coaching and directing on what needs to be done. And she's been amazing. Louise has got over 30 years experience in the mining industry. So I use her as a sounding board. I pick her brains also, and it's helped a lot. So because this industry is new in Nigeria, a lot of things you have to wing it, and you must wing it and wing it correctly. So you need those people out there to also help you. So programs, trainings, those are some of the things I use to help.
Okay, that's very nice, Mahdurii. Thank you for that. And just for our audience who perhaps would like to walk in your footsteps, do you have any tips, maybe 1 or 2, for how they can set themselves apart from the rest, how they can stand out in your industry?
Yes. So excuse me, everybody is a graduate these days. Everybody has got a master's these days. Everybody is also getting an MBA these days. So I'm sure that's why you're asking that question. Because at the end of the day, how do you set yourself apart? One of the things you do is what I'm doing right now, coaching. You coach the younger generations or people that are coming in, and you also create a level of visibility in this day of the social media, but your visibility is not a negative visibility, it's a positive visibility. in the sense that when you put your achievements and your milestones out there, you are creating visibility automatically for yourself. And networking is very important, but networking right is also extremely important. You're on LinkedIn, you have 5,000 followers. Are they relevant 5,000 followers? So you've got, so everybody's saying, oh, on LinkedIn, I've got 2,000 followers. I've got, so are they relevant followers? Are they relevant people that you can network with? Because one of the things that people in the executive space do is when they check in your social media pages status, so what they're seeing is your network also on who you're networking with. So what you do is network right, not just network.
Thank you for that, Mahdurii.
Yeah, those are good tips. So going back to your studies, you in 2012 you studied your postgrad in mass communications, as you've broken down for us, and you also mentioned that you're pursuing another international relations and diplomacy in MBA in Switzerland. So how is that going, and what was the motivation behind taking your studies further?
Like I said, networking is also very important. So I have to network also. I've not gotten to the top. I'm still somewhere here. So your bio is going to be looked at. So while it's important that you've got the experience, also what some people are also looking at for is certain things on what's qualifications, on what's the level of qualification. Yeah, I can decide to do an MBA and do an MBA in the maybe public administration. Would it assist me with what I'm doing? To a certain level, maybe, but not as much as diplomacy, because with what we do, you need diplomacy. If somebody is not doing the right thing, you can't tell him, Oga, please stop, you're not doing the right thing. What you're doing doesn't make sense. You have to tell somebody what you're doing doesn't make sense in a very, very intelligent way that they will not know, maybe until they've gotten home or 2 months later and it clicks that this person said what I'm doing doesn't make sense. So at the end of the day, that's why I decided to go ahead and do the MBA. It's been very, very insightful and has also helped me with looking at our risk management, financial outlook on certain things, and also certain litigation. It has helped a lot on with what I do. That's the truth. And I was thinking initially, oh, I need it for just networking. But the truth of the matter is that I have learned a lot from it.
Thank you, Mahdurii. Really appreciate your questions and your answers, your contribution. You've really spoken much about how the leadership roles and the network go in together, and how you still want to get to the top. Now, my next question, Mahdurii, is just to try and get you a little bit more. I would like to know what Mahdurii does for fun, apart from work and talking to people.
What I do for fun, I think I mentioned that the nature of the job can be very exhausting and energy draining, but psychologically, physically, sometimes you're done, you're thinking you're just starting the day and already is 5, 6, and you'll be like, okay, I still have a lot to do, but let's pause on it. Sometimes you can't pause on it. That's the truth. You're going on for until 10. So one of the things I like to do is watch very light, when I say very, not farces, but like very light movies and shows, because they help with balancing so you're not going to see me watching like a horror movie or a thriller. You're not going to see me watch a thriller because I already have something that is spiking my adrenaline. So I do not need something else spiking my adrenaline. So yeah, you're not going to see me watch a thriller unless maybe we're watching it for fun and I'm watching half of it. Also, to stay away from the internet, because you end up find out that because during the day you are on your phone all the time, you're doing research, you're doing 1 and 2 things, you're with the phone all the time. So what I do, or what I have invested in, is I do a lot of analog games. I'm sure you'll be wondering what analog games are. So
Yes,
even
yes.
if I'm playing chess, you're playing chess
Okay.
on the board, not on the computer.
Oh,
You're playing Scrabble, you're playing Scrabble on the board, not on the computer. So I've got Scrabble, I've got IO, I've got Jenga, I've got what I've got. So I actually accumulate those kind of things and then just light plays so that you're off the internet for some time. Yeah. So that's what I do. And also I travel. So I try to see if I can do like 2 or 3 times a year travel just for relaxation, just to unwind.
For interest sakes, which countries have you been to so far, or which places have you been?
So I'll not start mentioning the other ones because at some point I was a workaholic and I just found out that one day, oh, my passport has expired and I hadn't gone anywhere. So last year I made it a point of duty to decide that okay, every year I'll do 3 countries in a year. So this year I've done Singapore, I've done South Africa, I've done the UK, and I still intend to do one more at the end of the year, just for relaxation, like I said. But then at the end of the day, it's also so you also have to consider that.
Yeah.
So you have to consider that and balance at the end of the day. Does it make sense? Like, yeah, I'm sure you're aware I'm on my leave at the moment, which Toby has been trying to get me. But however, one of the things I've tried to do is, okay, I'll do a staycation this time rather than a vacation, which is what I've done. Thank you. So that's it.
Yes.
all right.
Over.
Hello, Sanelisiwe.
Hi. No, that's very interesting. As we round off, if anyone has questions, can you please drop them in the chat and we'll make sure we ask them on your behalf. And as we are closing out, you have achieved quite a bit and you're still progressing. Like you said, you're not at the top yet and you want to be at the top. And we wish you luck with your future endeavors, but we want to know what is next for you career-wise and what would you like to achieve in the future?
What's next for me career-wise? I can't disclose. But like I said, advancements and also proper networking, that's one. And what's my future aim and goals? I'm passionate, like I said, about impacting and developing people. That's my future goals. Impacting and developing people and not doing it because, oh, you want them to remember you did something, but you want to let them understand a different sphere of Nigeria. I'm not talking about internationally now, but Nigeria. So I want people to know that we still have like amazing people in Nigeria that actually are passionate about the development of our people.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mahdurii. So in our chat box, we have a message from Mr. Sebastian Wari from the US, but originally from Nigeria. I see that he's probably the only guest who's and Rosette. So if you don't mind, Mr. Sebastian, since your camera has been on the whole time, do you mind just saying hello before I read your question?
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to meet you today, and I'm glad I'm here. What you guys are doing is amazing job. I mean, you resonate with me, and I congratulate you all. Please, I want to be part of you. Thank you. Thank you, Mahdurii. Thank you, presenter, and everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sebastian. So Mr. Sebastian's question is around, how he can make meaningful connections, with people in the mining industry, since he's really wants to be involved and invested into the idea of making meaningful, connections with the African mining industry. Mahdurii, do you have any advice for him?
I'll say 2 things. The solid mineral industry, which I'm in, is extremely capital intensive. Extremely capital intensive. So it's like I do exploration and production. So we're in both places. So I see when we go into exploration and we're doing work and get anything. So now how to make the network is first and foremost, do you have this industry's background? If you don't, that's also going to be a challenge. 1, 2, what can you bring to the table? Because the truth of the matter is that this is just what we call expo in Nigeria. Before you see a company come out and start doing mining and work, there's been at least 10 years of work going on behind. At least 10 years of work going on behind. So you probably most likely have to look for the people that are doing the work behind first. Those are the people that you can network in, not people that come online and they're saying, oh, I'm doing this today. You're not really there. So the people that are really doing the work that you want to network in, they may not, most of them are not online. That's the truth. So you need to do a research on the area you want to work in or you want to network in first and start from there. Also, what we do you have the Nigerian Mining Week and you have the Ndaba also. That's a good network platform, a very good network platform for if you are interested in mining, you can look at that.
Okay, Sebastian. Yes, please, Mr. Sebastian.
Okay, thank you for that tip, ma'am. And I should start by saying that I have a very big passion about mining because it's one of the oldest industry in the world. And again, what drives me is the fact that the mining industry in Nigeria in particular, the youth are not involved. They are not involved. I'm looking at the way I can be able to bring the push that will bridge the gap and bring people on board, even though it's capital intensive. The job in mining industry, the mining industry in Nigeria should be well equipped and developed because I'm a member of SME here in United States, and other organizations, and I've met people, but I see the exploring method in Nigeria, the kind of economic loss in the industry is huge, that if we all come together and put hands together and support every community, just like what you're doing, ma'am, I really applaud you for that. People are going to know the value. For instance, not long ago in my community, there was a very huge location, a location that has a gold deposit. Nobody knows at the night, people will come and start mining. So if we educate people what they have, they won't allow anybody to come and steal them. So those are the areas I want to be part of. And I swear, if I have the money to start my own business, which I'm planning, I'll go for it. Thank you. So for those two organizations, please, I would like to have them because I might be in Nigeria in maybe 2 months, just to come and do some networking. Then I come back to US.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sebastian. We advise you to just get in touch with AfriMine, and we'll work hard to facilitate and make sure that we can find a way to work with you after this meeting. We also have a question from Gabriel, and he's basically just asking how you went around the challenges that you came about as you were working towards in your career, and how you went about them.
So how do you go around challenges when it comes to community? one of the first things you need to know is you invest in people. So it's not about your what's your goal or your aim. It's people. If people buy into what you're trying to communicate, that's the first step already. You need to understand that when you're working with communities, it's not people are not you can't use machines to communicate with people. So the first thing you're going to be looking at is like I said, I'll give you expo again. If you're going to be working with people, is identifying your key stakeholders. So you cannot go into a community and just start talking to maybe just a landowner or someone that is a leaser, that is leasing land. You identify from the top in the community to the bottom. So the first thing you're going to be identifying when you're going into a community is the head of the community. In this area, it's called the Oba in the Southwest. You identify who the head of the community is. And most times, once you've paid respect to the head of the community, it's easier to disseminate whatever information you want to put across out there. Secondly, when you're facing challenges, I think I mentioned integrity. The organization I work with is all about walking the talk. Never, ever, ever make promises because you want to get something done when you know you're not going to deliver on the promise. Because if you get away with it the first time, you will not get away with it the second time. You will not get away with it the third time. So if you are thinking of instant gratification when it comes to community management, you should just throw that out the window immediately. So yes, like I said, the job comes with a lot of challenges, but you also need to understand that once you've invested in people, both internally and externally, it makes your job a little bit easier. Not easier, but a little bit easier. That's all. And I said it's not one shoe fits all. Today you can use one, and tomorrow you try that same one. It's not going to work. You go to this village and you try the same thing. The next village, the person will tell you, no, you cannot try this. I heard this thing there. This is how I want this done. So at the end of the day, it's not a one size fits all. So it's basically, like I said, one thing you must have when you're doing this job is emotional intelligence. You should be able to tell when to just hold off and come back the next time, or when to push, because there are sometimes you actually do need to push, and you can see in the body language that, okay, if I push further, I'll get something, or if I change trajectory or direction, I'll get a better result. You should need that emotional intelligence for those challenges. So I can't tell you that, oh, this is what you should do, or this is not what you should do at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, Mahdurii. I really appreciate this. We really appreciate you coming to Career and Mining Conversations, AfriMine, and I will allow Mr. Toby to take over from here.